Hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast. Another live stream, basically live chat, catch up, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, this is a show I was meant to do late last night, but my lack of sleep basically yesterday, all been manic on and off air. Basically my body just wanted sleep and needed craving sleep, and I couldn't stay up long enough to do this last night, so went to bed, and here we are now, fully awake and ready to go. Basically, yeah, as the title says, this is what we're going to address. The main thing we're addressing the aftermath of the Spanish women's team winning the World Cup. If all the events that happened during the presentation of the trophy and the aftermath of it for the last week, the last 6 days now, and where we are currently at, and it's still not been resolved. It's mental. It is absolutely mental. It's got this far. It's been allowed to get this far, especially after yesterday's incident, which we'll get into in a second as well. But just a bit of background for anyone that doesn't regularly watch the women's football, or didn't watch the Women's World Cup last week, or in general doesn't really know what happened. Basically, World Cup final last Sunday, Spain versus England. Spain obviously win 1-0, and they've become, for the first time in their history, they win the Women's World Cup. Something to celebrate, something massive achievement considering what was going on, and we discussed it on the channel at the time, what had been going on for the last year previous with the head coach situation, because there's a situation with the head coach. He was being accused of similar things and other stuff as well. He was apparently investigated by the Spanish FA, which was led by this gentleman we're going to talk about today, Luis Rubiales. Louis Rubiales, because I'm Spanish. And they found nothing. So he got to keep his job, and 13 of the 15 senior players that stepped up last year decided no, they're not going to go to the World Cup. They're on strike until he's gone. He basically then inherits the under-17 world champions, brings them into the fold. They play with no fear, go and win the World Cup. We're all thinking, this is for the presentation, we're always sitting there like, this is basically now, the senior players, this is done now. There's no way back for them, basically. Fast forward a few minutes later to the presentation, the Spain team go up to get their medals and lift the trophy. And obviously, Louis is there. He's the head of the Spanish FA. So he runs everything. Everything goes through him, basically, as proved by the title of his own work title. And then Jenny Hermoso, Spain's attacking midfielder, is obviously she's got her medals, just been given a medal by him, and she's waiting for the other players to come forward and get ready as well. And he's obviously had a bit of excitement, this, that, and the other initially, and then proceeds to grab her, pull her in, and kiss her passionately on the lips. Not a little peck or anything, like proper kiss, and proceeds to handle her another way as well, and then pulls back in for another kiss, etc., etc. She then straight away, in the aftermath of it all, when asked about that by the press, basically said it wasn't consensual. She felt uncomfortable. A few hours after she did that, she was then basically, read between the lines now, she was then made by him and the Spanish FA to release a different statement saying the complete opposite to what she said initially, in terms of, oh no, everything's fine, it was all consensual, it's all he's apologised, and this, that, and the other, whatever. And obviously from that, it's just exploded ever since. And obviously her teammates have spoke out against him and on her behalf, and this, that, and the other, and being little whistleblowers, if you will. And basically, it got to a point, was it on Wednesday? So Monday, Tuesday, it was bubbling over. It was there, basically, being discussed day in, day out. Wednesday comes along, FIFA then decide, because basically by this point, Spanish FA aren't doing nothing. in terms of the rest of the FA, everyone underneath him refusing to do anything. They're just like la 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 la, sitting on the hands, doing nothing. On a Tuesday evening, the Spanish government decided to had their say and say that if this ain't resolved ASAP, they're going to get involved themselves. And then on Wednesday, FIFA, not UEFA, FIFA said that they're going to launch their own investigation into this, no matter what. And still, as we speak now, the Spanish FA haven't publicly come out and spoke up against him. But with all that, and then 48 hours later, yesterday morning, a press conference was called for the local Spanish press and world press to come, and everyone expected him to come out and announce he's resigning, basically, because it'd been leaked that was the case, and that his successor had already been picked. He's come out, like I said last night, he's come out and decided to do a bloody Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not leaving. I ain't fucking leaving. Da 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 da. I've done nothing wrong. It's the woke brigade's fault. I'm innocent. Blah 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 blah. And and from that it's escalated. From that yesterday, it's just escalated into absolute chaos now. Where as I say, it was bubbling along. It was being discussed, rightfully so, and pressure was being put on at that point. When he's done what he did yesterday and gone against whatever was in place initially, it's just escalated and gone massively out of control. Again, shout obviously Anne, big up Anne's disgusting man. Good evening, says Russ. And Russ is asking, isn't kissing acceptable in a lot of European countries? It is. I think it's on the cheeks. It's cheeks though, like the quick peck on each side, not the norm. Not literal passionate. I'm gonna grab you, pull you in, and kiss you on the lips for more than a brief second, basically, and then do it again. As I say, I've got statements here from the player himself from last night as well, and other bits and pieces that other players have come out. So, as I say, as I was saying, him going against what was initially in place for him to resign yesterday, and doing a Wolf of Wall Street, I ain't leaving, basically situation, and blaming the woke brigade and this, that, and the other. It's escalated. It's just gone since then, and it's now to a point. Hector Bellerin, former Arsenal player and Spanish fullback, has spoke out against him and standing with the women's team and Mercer herself. Real Batista's Spanish striker is refusing to play for the Spanish team as long as he's at the establishment. Basically, players are demanding. Spanish players are demanding him to be sacked now completely, not even suspended now, sacked. Basically refusing to play for their country. And on the men and the women. So basically, the women, the entire World Cup winning squad, around 5:30, 6 o'clock last night, released a joint statement saying that effectively they are on strike. They will not play for their country ever again, whilst he is in the Spanish FA in general. Let alone if he's suspended, it's not good enough now. Basically, they effectively are on strike. So it's just gone from one extreme to the completely out of I can't say out of control, but it's just unprecedented that this situation happens. The person in question doesn't do the right thing. It's a step down, be investigated, and do the right thing at the time. To the point now where his job's being said, no, you've got to go completely now. Otherwise, we ain't gonna have a Spanish team in general, because players are by the hour releasing statements saying we ain't playing for you, whilst he's in charge of it all. And it turns out UEFA, again, as I mentioned before, UEFA still ain't said nothing. They're still not doing a thing about this on their side of things. It turns out he's a second in command at the UEFA. But yeah, so you think, well, is there's no more corruption at UEFA than basically it's just like, oh, we're just our best mates, the old god, best mates, fucking brigade, woohoo. But as I mentioned already, I have got the statements ready to read out to show you guys and read out to if anyone that hasn't seen the statement from um, Jenny herself. And then obviously that is player in question. This is the start. There's like 4 different pages of this, so do bear with me while I read this out. It says, after achieving one of the most important objectives of my sports career, and after a few days of reflection, I want to sincerely thank my teammates, fans, followers, media, and everyone who has made this dream come true. Pardon me. Your work and unconditional support were a fundamental part of winning the World Cup. Sadly, the ability to celebrate that has been cut short because obviously the norm is, as you know, a team wins when a women's team wins a World Cup. There's a parade. It's like as soon as they arrive back the next day or a couple of days later, it's a massive party in that country, main parts of Spain, or in this case, down the streets, bus parade, you name it, boom, celebrate the achievement. That hasn't been able to be done because of what's going on with this idiot. While it is true that I do not want to interfere with the multiple ongoing legal processes, I feel obliged to report that Mr. Louis Rubiales' words explaining the unfortunate incident, as he highlights that in 3 words at the unfortunate incident, are categorically false and part of the manipulative culture that he himself has generated. I want to make it clear that at no time did the conversation to which Mr. Louis Rubiales refers to in his address take place, and above all, was his kiss ever consensual. I want to reiterate, as I did before, I did not like this incident. That's the first page. Just going to the second. The situation stopped me given the celebrations that were taking place at the moment, and with the passage of time and after delving a little deeper into those internal feelings, I feel the need to report this incident because I feel that no person in any work, sports or social settings should be a victim of these types of non-consensual behaviours. I feel vulnerable and a victim of impulsive, driven, sexist, out of place and without any consent on my part. Simply put, I was not respected. I was asked to make a joint statement to make a joint statement to take the pressure, basically take the pressure off the president. But at the moment, all I had in my mind was to enjoy the historic milestone achieved by my teammates. For this reason, I always conveyed to the Spanish FA, basically RFEF, and its various interlocutors, as well as to the media and people I trust, that I would not make any individual or joint statements on this matter, as I understood that doing so would take even more prominence away from just a special moment for my teammates and me. So basically saying that she was basically asked straight from the off, don't do any statement, don't make any individual media stuff or joint statements with your teammates. This will put pressure onto Louis. It will take all. It also at the same time, by doing that, it'll take away what you've achieved just now on the pitch, basically. Despite my decision, I must state that I have been under continuous pressure to make a statement that could justify Mr. Louise's actions. Not only that, but in different ways, through different people, and the Spanish FA has pressured my surroundings and he puts in brackets family, friends, teammates, etc., to give a testimony that had a little or nothing to do with my feelings. So basically, the Spanish FA and Louis in general have been going to her for the last few days up to this point. So what, Monday, from the aftermath of the final on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, trying to put pressure on her to release a statement to back him up, basically. Take the pressure off him. If not, Jesus Christ. This ain't looking good for the Spanish FA in general either. Because even, just to add on to what happened yesterday, to put a press conference in place yesterday where he was meant to resign, for him to go against that grain and make things even worse, and his head still, of everything that's gone on since then, his head's still not rolled. The rest of the FA is going, because he's the top honcho, la 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 la. Well, we tried our best now. It's down to the people. It's down to other people. It's out of our control. It's like not taking the responsibility in any which way now. Why can't you? If you've had the meetings and you've discussed that, like this is a press conference we're setting up, you have to resign now. But do it in a way which is come across as on your terms, makes it look better. The fact that he's agreed to do all that privately, but then publicly turned up and gone, I ain't fucking leaving. And then all these Spanish players, men's and women's players, are coming out, going on strike against playing for their country now. Why aren't they forcing the issue? Why are they not going, right, enough's enough, you had your chance, piss off? He's not looking good for them either. It is, all right, continue on to this. It's up to me to evaluate the communication and integrity practices, but I'm sure that as the world champion, we as a team did not deserve such manipulative, hostile, controlling culture. Ironically, what your manager has been accused of for the last 12 months for your other teammates, that they didn't take part in this World Cup. They warned you, but you still went there. These types of incidents add to a long list of situations that the players have been denouncing, which is what I just mentioned there. So this is at least she herself and her team are acknowledging that there's other situations that have been brought up before, and yeah, in recent years, this isn't one in which I have been involved. Is the final straw. And what everyone has been able to witness on live television during the celebration also comes with attitudes like the one we saw this morning, referring to the, as I said, press conference where he just said, I can name it 5 fucking times. And I have been part of our team's daily life for years. For all these reasons, I want to reinforce the position I took from the beginning, considering that I do not have to support the person who has committed this action against my will without respecting me at a historic moment for me and the women's sport in this country. Under no circumstances can it be my responsibility to bear the consequences of conveying something I do not believe in, which is why I have refused the pressures received. Basically, it's the on the ground, basically, and this is the last page of it, basically. Sorry, we're running on, but yeah, I have zero tolerance for these behaviours. I want to conclude by making it very clear that while it is I who is expressing these words, it is the players from Spain and around the world who have given me the strength to come out with this statement. In the face of such a display of disrespect and inability to recognise one's own mistakes and take responsibility, I state here and now to everyone of my decision to not play for the national team again while the current leaders, not even just him now, leaders remain. So they're calling for more heads to roll, basically. I wonder if that would be the head coach as well. Thank you for all your messages of support, encouraging words received. I know I am not alone, and thanks to you all, we will push forward more united than ever. I'll leave this matter in the hands of the TMG and Foot Pro and the people I trust. I will continue work. I'll continue working on to the next necessary steps. And then she signs it off and her name. And it was that. Trying to think. 1 second. And then obviously we had Jess Carter on Sky News yesterday. Obviously got asked about it. She gave her thoughts on it. Leah Williamson, Beth Mead on social media have released post referring to the Lioness a joint statement about Beth Mead, and Leah retweeted that. Beth Mead herself put a tweet at the time when it all kicked off as well. Just bear with me while I find that tweet from Beth. 17 hours ago. There's the one. Here we go. This is the one. This will be a lot smaller because obviously it's not in your face. Beth Mead, this was 17 hours ago on her Twitter. The game, the Spanish players deserve more. No players should have to endure this. This is unacceptable and also laughable that these men still are allowed so much power. And added Jenny, we are all with you with a heart emoji, respectively. Hector Bellerin. I'm going to get these up now. I think I might have to translate it, but if you bear with me. Bear with me a second, see if it's still on there. It might not even be on there now. Right, 1 second, go back. I've got some quotes I can give you. A sec. You do bear with. There we go. Let's put it back up on the screen. Hector Bellerin. This is via football tweet at football tweet. At football__tweet. Hector Bellerin reacts to the non-resignation of Louis Robert. Pardon me. Again, it is very shameful that what's happening, we're presenting our country with this vulgar, basically, twisting the words of the victim, and on top of that, having the courage to blame them for victimizing themselves after committing an abuse are facts of which no one can go unpunished. Football is a social tool that should allow us to move forward, progress. Manismil should have no place there. The narcissist never believes he has made a mistake. He is able to lie, manipulate the truth, and make the victim feel guilty in order to maintain his power over others. Again, these are just snippets of what's going down since that press conference, basically. Obviously, the statement from the player herself. Hector stepped up and said what he's had to say. Obviously, Beth stand on her bit. Leah, Jess Carter from our side of things, and all the other English women's players, men's players that played for Spain currently. They've got to say played because obviously they're on strike as well. Are coming out, speaking up against this guy as well, saying that he's got to go. Otherwise, I'm having nothing to do with it as well. I refuse to playing on behalf of this pillock, basically, to be polite. Just seen a kiss again on the BBC, and very just inappropriate, being kind. Let's be honest. I don't know what my thoughts is. This would have been nips in the bud straight from the off. The fact that the FA in general and UEFA not getting done their bit, and FIFA waited a few days themselves to do an investigation, etc., etc. It's been allowed to get out of control. It's been allowed to get to this point. It should never have been allowed to get to this point. The second he did what he did, he should have been gone. He should have been gone within 24 hours of it all going off when it did back last Sunday. If it had been dealt with and nipped in the bud then, None of this would be happening now. The Spanish women's team would not be on strike, basically. Spanish men's players will not be going on strike by the hour as we speak, refusing to pay for their country. You would not have even neutral footballers from both the men's and women's side of things outside of Spain stepping up and speaking up against this person and saying how inappropriate what he did was bang out of order in terms of not just last Sunday but in yesterday's press conference as well. Because, like I say, that press conference was set up by the FA, the rest of the Spanish FA, for him to announce his resignation and make it out it was on his terms, and that his successor was to be X and Y and Z. He, as I say, steps on stage and then decides to go full Wolf of Wall Street and say, "I ain't leaving" 5 times, and then having a go at Jenny. And it's a woke brigade. Is everyone else is for the cancel culture, trying to get rid of, eradicate this, that, and the other. I've done nothing wrong. I am innocent. And then what's unfolded from then? If you fast forward to yesterday, the fact they didn't deal with it up till yesterday is astounding. But then to set something up for him to make out it's going on his terms, and then to go, he hasn't done that, and then just sitting and he just go back hiding again. The rest of the Spanish have gone back hiding again, allowing him to do what he did, basically, to get away with it, to the point where, as I say, the Spanish men's players and the entire World Cup winning team, as we speak, have gone on strike, playing for their country now. What? And he's still in the job. They're not not acting. The rest of them aren't acting, and saying, you had your chance. Now you've got to go. Piss off. And as I say, at this time of recording, as this is now, he has not been sacked. Been forcibly put out now. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's got to this point. Disgusting. That's been able to get to this point, and he was allowed to do effectively. He's been allowed to do what he did yesterday and get away with it. In terms of, there's no retrospective action from the rest of the FA afterwards, even though they set it up before that. It leaked out. His successor was leaked before the press conference, so that's why we all know that press conference was for him to resign. But I don't know what to say in terms of repeating myself, but it's just borderline mental that this has happened. Oh dear. Oh bloody hell. There we go. Yeah. The thing is, the annoying thing is, there's people out there defending this guy still, saying, "Oh, it's nothing wrong." But you put it in that, you've got go back just to counteract the argument of these people that are defending Louis. Let's put the argument back to your side of things. If it was your sister, your cousin, your niece, your mum in that situation, going to work, doing their job, and their boss comes up to them, grabs them, and starts, and with no consent, just goes, "Boom, thank you very much." How would you then feel? What do you think it's appropriate then? Sam's in the chat says, "Bloody hell, this is early." The only reason I'm doing this now, because I didn't do it last night, obviously. My body, as I said at the start of the stream, my body just went, needs sleep, crashing. So here we are now doing it this morning instead. But this guy, Rubiales, needs to be slapped. Yeah. Amongst so many things, that's probably one of the many things that need happening to him, to be honest, at this moment in time, the way he's behaving and conducting himself in general. It just shows that there's still parts of the society, not just in Spain, but in general, where a lot of improvement needs to be made, and quickly, and this needs to be a lesson. And as I was just saying before you came in, how this guy hasn't been after the stunt he pulled yesterday, and the aftermath of that with the Spanish women's team of now on strike. Basically, men's players are now going on strike by the hour. How the rest of the FA then decided, amongst all that, add that all onto what he did, the stunt he pulled. Why are they still sitting on their backsides as we speak at 9:52 a.m. UK time, 9:53 now, sorry, UK time, that they can't force him out. They can't just say, you had your chance, enough's enough, fuck off. Because you're not going to get any better. The longer like the Spanish, the rest of the Spanish FA don't sit in their hands now and don't do nothing and don't force this guy out themselves now, after giving him the opportunity to do it on his own terms, effectively, it's going to get worse for them. It won't just be him having his job called for. Basically, it will be the rest of them as well. And in UEFA, the whole situation with UEFA, being that he's the vice president, he's the second in command, basically, at UEFA. And the fact that UEFA said nothing in this entire nearly 6 days today. The last 6 days, they've said nothing on this matter. They've remained radio silent. Talk about protecting the old boys club and all that. There's not good for them either. Heads will be called for their jobs as well. The top honcho going all the way down as well. All the ones that have remained silent, which is pretty much all of them. Now, obviously, the Spanish government have said they're going to get involved. I don't know what they're doing in terms of. We'll see how that plays out. And FIFA, how long are they going to take with their investigation themselves? And we know FIFA's corrupt himself. We all know about FIFA and their corruption, allegedly. Got to say that. How long is their investigation going to take? And is it going to be bearing any fruits? Is it going to actually be beneficial to the players? Or is it just going to be a cover up like the Spanish FA, the Spanish FA side of things, when they covered up the head coach situation, which we mentioned before, prior to the World Cup final, during the World Cup final, and now today. But again, for anyone that doesn't follow women's game and all that, basically the head coach of Spain, after the Euros last year, when they after England knocked them out and all that, basically near enough the entire squad, 15 players out the entire squad, stepped up publicly and spoke out publicly against the Spanish team manager, basically saying he'd done things. He's acting inappropriately. He's being this. He's being that. Being a bully, and that's of circumstances as well. Basically, yeah, what we've seen playing out now in terms of part of what we've seen played out now. This is a Luis guy, and as I say, Spanish FA did an investigation. Nothing was found, and now we know why. Because now Louis has done one of the many things that this head coach was accused of, and he's burying his head in the sand, saying that there's nothing wrong. Head in the sand, la 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 la, da 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 da. It's the cancel culture. It's the cancel culture got a problem with me. They're trying to cancel everyone. Da 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 da. It's the woke brigade. She's playing a victim. She's not a victim. Da 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 da. So you wonder why nothing was found on the fucking coach. Clearly the coach is what them players said that he was doing, and worse. And he's just got corrupt motherfuckers in the Spanish FA that covered him, basically. Needs castrating. Needs one of many things. Sanders Moynihan and agrees with Ange about that. FIFA about as useful as a snowball in a Sahara desert. Yeah. What else is the man capable of, or has already done? Well, again, going by the statement, that the player Jenny put out on Twitter, on social medias in general, a lot worse. Well, obviously he's been him and the powers that be have been making threats to not just her and her family and friends, but to the rest of the players as well, not to make statements against him and to stand united and things like that. So clearly a lot worse. He's capable of a lot worse. Power goes to people's heads, and yeah, we're seeing it unfold in terms of the Spain side of things. We've seen it unfold day by day, and the fact, as I keep repeating myself now, the fact of the matter is that yesterday's press conference was set up for him to go out on his terms, and he then decided to turn up and do the complete opposite, which then now that in itself should have been the warning sign that literally straight after that, within half an hour, the rest of the FA should have got together and gone, right, sorry, Louis, you had your chance to do it on your terms. Enough's enough. Back off. You're sacked. We're going for the legal means, but you're gone. And then they sort of released a statement saying that to the public, and the whole situation that arose after that press conference wouldn't have happened. The Spanish players would not be going on strike for the men's and women's team respectively. And I say the women's team in general, the entire women's team have gone on strike. They will not play a single game for their country whilst he's about. And still, nothing's been done. But as we speak, nearly 10 o'clock in the morning here in the UK, nothing's been done or said by the powers that be that could be forcing him out, or should be forcing him out. He's never been given the chance to do it on his terms. On his terms. It should have been just here's a press conference. This is the situation. He's stepping down, basically being sacked. This is his replacement. Hope to move on from this. And an internal investigation will look into this further. Bear with us while we gather our evidence and all that. Oh no! And obviously, yeah, it's ridiculous at the end of the day. But this has been allowed to play out the way it has so publicly in terms of the arrogance. As I say, the pure arrogance of the man himself and other people in general for allowing it to get to this point. I don't see it being resolved anytime soon. Like, clearly, as I say, what time now? We're 16, 17 hours since the players went on strike, this women's team, and nothing's been done. Nothing's even been murmured to be getting done. And yeah, he's just in his ivory tower getting away with it again because nothing's been done. I don't know when this is. The only way this can be resolved is him now being sacked by the powers that be, and other heads that roll will have to roll now that have backed him privately, and allowed this to get to this point. And that will include the Spanish head coach, because ironically he was there yesterday as well. By the way, at the press conference, he said when Louis goes, he's going to have to go as well, because obviously he was accused of far worse than this guy, and found innocent at the time by this guy. So it brings in that entire investigation now gets brought into question as well. So his head's going to have to roll as well. But it's just a matter of when, not if. Well, you'd hope when, not if. What more has got to happen in this situation currently for it finally to be rammed home that he has to fucking go. He had his opportunity to do it on these terms. He decided to do the whole Wolf of Wall Street situation of I'm not fucking leaving. And it's just, yeah, it's ridiculous. There's too many cowards in that FA that need to be gone as well, by the looks of it. And the UEFA's been called it. When this situation does finally get sorted, I think there needs to be an investigation into UEFA even more now, because they're just allowed. They're just gone radio silent and protect our best friends, basically. And that can't be done. That cannot be on. That cannot be allowed. Let's see if the player strikes result in anything positive. Yeah, well, the basic play in terms of the players in general, but the women's team, the entire women's team on a strike itself. Also, the men doing their bit as well. The ones that have spoke out, as we say, by the hour, are going on strike respectively. As long as they stick to it and don't bend the knee at any point in this process, let's hope it results in something positive in the end game. Because if anyone slightly bends the knee, backs down, the whole thing falls apart eventually. That's not good. That will not be good for football and Spain in general. But yeah, I'm going to wrap things up now because we've done just over 40 odd minutes. I've got a few more hours before kickoff for the Arsenal game, the main event of the weekend. Arsenal versus Fulham at the Emirates. Again, I'll be going live for that around 2:30 UK time. Kick off at around 3. Again, go off half hour. Allow you guys to come in, get settled, get your streams up respectively. Get used to the team. Let's get your thoughts on the team and all that jazz. And have a bit more of a positive show basically compared to what we've just done here, where it's been more gritty, and all that sort of thing. Sort of non-positive and upbeat. When hopefully later on will be the more positive upbeat watch along, and then obviously after that we've got that 10:20 tonight, the match of the day stream as well. So that'll be obviously watching the highlights of the Arsenal game as well, but also all the other games that take part today as well, between the early kickoff, the 3 o'clocks, and the late kickoff, respectively. I think how many games are on today? Actually, let's have a look. Also, we do have the Stefan and Mr. Tom Derby as well between Ipswich and Leeds in the Championship. So we'll be keeping an eye on that at 3 o'clock through till 5. So we've got so match of the day wise, we're covering the Bournemouth Spurs game. Come on, Bournemouth. Arsenal Fulham, Brentford Palace, Everton Wolves, Man United versus Forest, and Brighton West Ham. In terms of the match of the day games. Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh dear. So yeah, busy day ahead. So we're going to have got this obviously little stream we've done now, one off hopefully. Obviously, what in terms of it being a bit. Hopefully, next time we cover this on the channel, it'll be an upbeat. It's been dealt with long missed the Spanish women's team and all that malarkey, and get rid of that quick once and for all. But yeah. As I say, so 2:30 Arsenal v Fulham match day watch along / stream. Match of the day, then later on in the evening at 10:20 p.m. UK time. Match of the day, as I say, go and reliving the highlights of the Arsenal game and all the other games throughout the day. And then tomorrow, thinking about doing a Newcastle-Liverpool a neutral watch on for Newcastle-Liverpool. Seems like that might be a decent game. Might be Newcastle. I think this is Liverpool there for the taking. I think with Newcastle. Newcastle's best opportunity to get something at St James's against Liverpool for the first time in a long time. Aside from that, yeah, we're all good. If you are new to the channel and you've come across this and you like what we've done here and all the other stuff we do on the channel, do smash that like button. Do subscribe as well. Do share the content around as well. Sorry, my brain just went. Do share the content as well. Massively. The more you guys share, like, and all that malarkey, the more YouTube do their bit, and they then obviously pump it out their end as well, and it helps grow the channel even faster. And yeah, aside from that, take care of yourselves. We'll see you at 2:30 p.m. later on. As always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you guys.